Okay, I believe we're live. Can you guys just let me know if you see this? Yeah, we should be good. Can you guys see me? Yeah, great. Okay, cool. All right, so thank you for joining me again. We've made like 10 hours, 12, 20 hours of content, and it's been like a week or week and a half. So I've discovered as a result of all of this, that live streaming is like a lot more like a sport than I anticipated. For example, like after each live stream, I like pass out. I didn't realize how much energy it takes because I thought I'd just be coding, but coding with other people over the internet and not being distracted, and I don't know, it's like 3 times more energy. But at the same time, there's a lot of benefits, right? I can answer questions. I can be funny and enthusiastic. I'm documenting what I'm learning in sort of a recorded format, which is really ideal because then I can come back and watch it at like 4 times or faster, just sort of looking for clues of what I was doing before. So this is like really, it's been really nice for me. So I'm like really, how can I say this? I'm like really grateful and appreciative to even have a small audience. That's really great. Okay, so unless there's any questions, let's just review where we're at. If you're not really like if this is your first time watching, it doesn't do much, but the point is to sort of demonstrate how you might start a project, right? So right now I just have like a little directory right here, like a little directory of people's names that I can search against just by typing in, right? So it's pretty simple. But the entire sort of like emphasis for this is to build a useful like entertainment, so like movie, music, TV show, like a useful entertainment web app so that you can like more quickly navigate all the media that's now available in the world and search against more than just like 1 or 2 parameters. So like, for example, let's say, like this is the goal. I don't know that we'll get to this today, but let's say you want to watch a movie. Okay, so that's we'll start sketching this, right? Sketch. So like let's say the first goal is, this is sketch.io. It's a really great website to just start drawing immediately, right? So like, okay, and let me get a pen. Okay. Okay, so like, let's think about this, right? Like, I want to watch something, okay, and I want to specifically watch a movie, and I want to watch a movie, not a TV show, and not, is there anything else? I think movies and TV shows would be the first filter. By the way, if the stream gets laggy, let me know. I might need to turn the air conditioning on. Okay, so we have these 2 buckets, right? This is so badly drawn. On the left side, we have TV shows, and then over here we have, oh my god, this is so bad. This is TV and movies. So like this is the first filter, right? And then there's more filters, right? So now we have a face. So after that, there's different genres, and then the genres. Yeah, I suspect the lagginess is the heat. I'm going to turn on the air conditioning. It just takes a second. Okay. If it's too windy, let me know. I have sort of the air conditioning coming at me. But it's weird. If my computer just gets like a little warm, all of the resources go to the fan, and then the performance goes down. It's like a tornado in here now. So let me know if this is better. I don't think there's anything else competing for resources. Actually, this might be competing for resources. Okay, maybe that helps. So basically, when we're like deciding what we want to do, right? First, we have the first filter, which is it a movie or is it a TV show, right? And then over here, we have like maybe categories, right? And then we keep going. This looks so bad. So this would be like science fiction. This would be like comedy, romance, whatever, right? And so the point is that this area is independent from this area, and this area would be independent from the next. So this is really terrible. So the point is that if I go to a website, right? Like if I go to IMDb and I start searching for titles, the trouble is that it's so narrow. Like, I don't know, like it's slow, it's not fast, it just doesn't like, it should be so much more fun to try to find something to watch. This is, for example, right? So the whole inspiration for this is that I can search for like actors, directors, you know, how well did the box office do? And I can combine these parameters to make like a really powerful search. So like ideally, I would want to be able to say like not literally, but like sort of ideally I want to say, okay, give me like movies that were like in this time range, right? So like 2006 to like 2016. I hope that it did like this performance at the box office. I'm looking for like at least one of these directors of photography, right? Like I want to have a lot more intuitive, nimble control over sort of all the data that is now available. Okay, so let's just explain where we're at, and then we'll talk about strategies for sort of making this more meaningful, right? So I've put the code online. If you'd like, I can link to it. It's not that complicated. We effectively have a website with two dependencies. We have first a simple CSS reset, and all that does is it makes the CSS easier to work with. Down here, I'm importing Vue from unpackage.com. There's different places you can get Vue. This is just where I like to get it. And then I've got, this is all of our HTML. This is all of our CSS, right? Over here, I've got some colors defined. And then down here, I've got the sort of the brain, right? So I've got some data. I've got some data. So for example, like these are the messages. Like so, if I'm just at the beginning of the app, I have like a little message, and it's a random message. So if I reload it, I might see like a different emoji. And if I wanted to, I could give it some like message. So I could say like, hello, whoops, hello, what are we going to watch today? Is it still laggy, guys, or did it get better? So now I've got like a little status message at the beginning, and I can do the same thing if there was no result for a sort of like a search, right? So if I did like ZAYDEK, but then I put an S at the end, so I can have sort of an info message at the beginning, which would be one of these emojis, right? That's what these are. And I can have a warning message, and each of these are random. So I don't necessarily want to have the same warning message every time, right? Like what I want is something similar to sort of Google Fonts, right? So like every time I search for something and I don't get back any result, I want to have some expression. And similarly, if I try again, maybe I get a different one. So I think this is a good approach. Okay, great. Yeah, I bet you just having the air conditioning on makes like all the difference, which is sort of hilarious. Okay, so we have good messages and we have bad messages. And the stuff that takes place in between the messages would be the actual like query in the search, right? So like right now my query is just limited to the names. And I do have a decorative emoji, but I can't search against the emoji yet. What I would like to do first is make it possible to search against both the emoji and the value. And the only logic that we have is, it kind of looks complicated. It's really not that bad. There's basically 3 areas inside of it, right? So it's like a It's like a method, but we're using computed instead of methods because computed is an optimization. And the only difference is when you use computed to add some functionality to your web app, you can't refer to it as a function. So in my code, this is the function search. If it's computed, I actually use it like a variable. But if this was like a method and not a computed property, then it would look like this. So just know that if you're using Vue. But computed is a little bit more optimized, and it looks like a variable in the code. So I like that. Okay, and then like let's say like results. So we're basically iterating over every result in our search results to print the results emoji and the results value. And if I load it up and I like hello, right? I have to have a result to get that. Or I can do like Charlie, right? And then I get Justine's dog. So this is cool, but if we're thinking about like movies and TV shows and box office performance and all these sort of parameters, we need to have a way to search not against just like one string, right? Like right now, we're basically taking a string, sanitizing it, which means making it all lowercase, and checking that our query, right? Our query matches our, where is it? Our query matches our streamer. Yeah, so we sanitize the query. So we take our search input, like hello. First we make this hello, which is all lowercase. And then we're checking it against any of the values in our data for also the query, but also sanitized, right? So if we use uppercase anywhere, it breaks things because if I'm doing the JavaScript function includes, it's case sensitive. So I need a case insensitive search. Okay, so what we want to do is we need to add more dimensions of data. And this might sort of seem vague or arbitrary, right? But like, let me show you an example of what we want. So here, oops, I want JavaScript. And then let's just make this like that. Okay, so like this is a really simple example of where I have movies and then different ratings. Now I need to change emoji to be rating, and I need to change value to maybe be title. But you can see how like we can just structure the data as an array of objects. And then eventually we actually want to pull this from an API, but that actually can come last. What we want to do is make sure we understand how we can do this in a local capacity. Now, like let's take like this one, right? So this is it's not unstructured, but it's kind of unstructured, right? So we have some data right here, and basically, if we pull this apart, we have a rating, we have a title, and we actually have a year. So this is probably better to not be in the title itself. So like maybe we have a year, right? So how can we structure this? So like let's say we have an object. So we can do var obj equals, this is object syntax in JavaScript, and we can just arbitrarily do like rating string, right? We can do title string, and then we can do year string. We have to make a decision here if we want to encode the rating and the year as text or as a number. And the reason that this is a decision and it's not like, obviously, let's just use a number, it's because we need to first understand that JavaScript numbers are weird. If we're comfortable with that, we're fine. But we need to just bear in mind that like whenever you're doing whenever you're encoding data into floating point precision, so like floating point like this, you just need to know what you're getting yourself into, because integers are fine. There's nothing wrong with integers, except that JavaScript doesn't natively support integers. All of JavaScript's numbers are like this like weird mix of like, looks like an integer, but actually is like a decimal number behind the scenes. So just the point is, like sometimes you'll consume data from an API, and you're like, why did they encode the number as a string when it's a number? and if it's like sensitive data, like if it's like a very specific price, or like it's like a foreign exchange or something, it's actually safer to encode it in a string because you're not going to have precision errors. So if you're dealing with numbers like this, you're probably better to encode them as a string. If we're dealing with numbers with like that degree of complexity, it's not really an issue. I would like to use an API, but to be honest, I passed out earlier and I didn't get to do research. So what I'd like to do is first make a proof of, so the question was, will we use an API? And I would like to, but after we understand how to deal with multidimensional data. So that's really a question of if we have time. But I'm enthusiastic and I'll try, but I might fail. I mean, so that's the only caveat. But the thing is, the reason I'm not jumping into the API first is because APIs are like ports, right? They're like, if I'm like a boat and I need to know where to park, like it's just like a parking spot. It's not like a big deal because like as long as there are good APIs, in theory, you can just change which API you're using. You might have to change some sort of internal logic, but like how cool would it be if like somewhere in your program you have like var API equals like, I don't know, IMDb. And then like if you want to, you could just say like API equals like Rotten Tomatoes. Or like maybe it's like a literal value, like it's like a identifier. And then you would just be like API, like, so this sort of flexibility is awesome. But it means that we first need to really understand what we're expecting from the API and make sure that we can like deal with the raw stuff first. But we can try. I mean, I'm nothing against it. So let's imagine that our rating is encoded as just a number, and then we have like, here's the text for the title, and then here's the year. So this is a start. Now, like one of the benefits of keeping this a number and not a string is that now it's really easy to say like if what do we want to call this? Like it's not an object anymore. We could say title. I don't know what you would call this. We'll say title for now. Yeah, right. So like yeah, first we need to build a boat before we can like put it in a port. That's a good analogy. So we have like a title now, right? And our title has a rating, the title has a title, which is sort of weird, and the title has a year, right? Yeah, okay. So like one of the nice benefits of using a number here is that now we can say if the year is greater or less than. We can use like intuitive logic. We don't have to like convert it to a string and then do something and then go back to a number. So this is nice. So like let's think about the complexity of our app as these three dimensions or these three layers where so far I want to be able to search against the rating, the title, and the year. And I mean, this is fine, but it'd be really cool if instead of just thinking about these independently from each other, it'd be really nice to be able to do something like title, and then like if the title's rating is greater than 7 and the year is like greater or equal to like 2010, right? The thing is, like, I wouldn't want a user on the website to like type this in. That'd be like really user unfriendly. So we need to think about creating a UI that means we can do this sort of logic, but expect it from the user. And if you think about it, this is a compound expression. So we're effectively asking two questions, right? So we're saying, if this and that, then this, right? This is what we care about. So I have some ideas for how we can like design this, because it's kind of confusing, right? Like let me show you what I mean. So we go back to our website, and here's why I'm like a little stuck on this part, right? Like let's say I have this, right? Like, do we want to expose like a search field for title, a search because it's all repeating itself. This is because okay, but you see what I mean? Like like, do we put the title here? Do we put the name here? Do we put the rating? Do we put the year? Because while that would work, imagine we're exposing like 20 dimensions of data. I don't think this scales, which is sort of concerning me. So, I mean, I think a better UI would be like this. So, I have to figure out how to build this. I don't really know. But I mean, I think we could think, oh my god, this is terrible. I think what we could do is this. I think we could say, delete. I think we could say we have one big search bar, right? And it has these buttons to the right side of it. So it has these squares, actually, right? And then these squares would have like an emoji inside of them. And we'd have a few of them. Oh, let's just do... I should be able to do this. Okay, you're right. I can do that. And what I think would be really nice... Oops. Is by default, one of them is selected. So maybe by default, like the title button is selected, right? So then I just need to type in my query and then I get my results. But it also might be nice if I can like instead click this button, the data that was here is hiding now, and then so like let's say this is like the title, right? Let's say this is the year. And let's say this is the rating. Oops. It'd be really nice if by default one of these are turned on. I type in the information and I get my results. But then if I want to be more narrow than that, then I can like click this one instead, type in some extra information. Then these two parameters are both turned on. And like maybe they're like glowing to sort of indicate that they're like saving data. And then you can imagine that with this UI, you could build like, you know, you wouldn't want too many, but you could actually build quite enough, you could add quite a few filters without tremendously increasing the complexity of the app, right? So like instead, now we can have like maybe 6, right? And so I think this is not a bad approach to this. Because we basically want to do something called, I don't know the technical term for this. We want to oh yeah, I think it's like progressive complexity. We don't want to show the all the complexity up front, which is exactly what having multiple search bars means, right? Like I mean, we're exposing all of the complexity, and that does not create a good user experience. This already looks terrible. So by putting like little buttons that we can turn on and off, we're creating what's called progressive, I think it's called progressive complexity, where we're exposing the complexity as it's needed and sort of hiding it as it's unneeded. So that's sort of like my idea for how to do that. So let's try this in 2 steps. So like let's first try to make a dead simple approach to this problem, right? The multi-dimensional problem. I have multi-dimensional data, and I want to be able to like just search for it. And then if we understand that, it shouldn't be that hard to engineer like a button so that we're basically limiting it to one of these at a time. But you can sort of imagine this kind of gets complex quickly because like even if we leave the API out of this, imagine this has like 20 fields, and we want that much sort of control. We need to like design our website so that we don't also have we don't want to have an enormous amount of complexity for a pretty repeatable concept, right? Which is just, I want to search against this thing, and I want to search against this thing. If you think about it, when we built the Twitter bot, the only difference between the 3 accounts, 100 Days of Code, Moms Can Code, and Women Who Code, are basically some variables. Like, I'm not building 3 separate applications. I'm building one application that takes 3 separate, effectively like arguments, right? So I think we should be like really careful to think about this in a way where we're not alienating anyone who might like want to look at this code, because we want to model some good code here. Okay, so let's do a very simple example in the browser. Okay, so like let's take this. We'll take this one and call it result, and we're gonna do the scientific method because we are scientists today. We are not JavaScript programmers. Can I get amen? So we have our first result, and we have a rating, a title, and a year. Now we just want to make sure that this even works. And it's fine, that comma there is not breaking anything. If we call up result right here, we have some default JavaScript stuff that we don't really care about, but what we do care about are these different properties that are attached to it. So I can get the rating, I can say, is the rating greater than 9, right? Did this movie do well? No, it did terribly. So that wouldn't work. But I can say like result year, okay, is this like a new movie, right? Is this movie more recent than or including like 2016? And yeah, so that's true. So this is representing some like title, and we might even want to have like one more, right? We might want to say, I don't know, distribution. So dist is for distribution. Distribution? Yeah. So like distribution, how is this distributed? And then we could say like, well, okay, so what I'm trying to say, like, was it TV or like was it movies? But this, if it's just TV or movies, that kind of sounds like a Boolean, right? But if we have more than 2 states, right, a Boolean's for 2 states, what we might want to use instead is like an enum, right? Because an enum is for an arbitrary amount of states, but sort of works like a Boolean. I don't know if JavaScript has enum, but if it doesn't, we can use an int and emulate an enum to get sort of X places. So let's just check. Amen, right? Amen. Let's just check if JavaScript supports enums. Oops. Enum. So enum is short for enumeration. And not all programming languages have it, but it's actually a pretty nice feature. Okay, let's find out. Yeah, so this guy is saying, hey, I've got like a fake enum, and I'm mapping these values to random indices, or not indices, but numbers. And so here he's basically making like he's like extending the idea of a Boolean. So instead of having two states, he has 3 states, right? So that's sort of how you would do an enum there. If we want to find the correct way to do this, right, yeah, I need glasses first. Okay, so this is effectively equivalent, except that they're, okay, so const in JavaScript is weird. Const is not as reliable for making something constant. So what I've seen on the internet is people will also use object freeze, which is not that, like, I mean, it's just sort of a hack. But we'll use just a simple object to map this. So like let's say, you know what we need? Let's do 2 things. So I do like var object equals. So the first one, we want an enum for the distribution, right? So we can do distribution. So that's fine, we'll do distribution. Does this make sense? Just let me know if it doesn't. Okay, so right now we only want 2 states. So we can say, is it a TV? TV show? We just do TV is fine. And then we're going to say this will map to 0. Let's do movie. I think movies came before TV. And then we'll do TV here, right? So now we have a more semantic sort of approach to a Boolean. I can say instead of distribution, I can say basically instead of like if this title's distribution is false, which is meaningless. Like I need to have a semantic way to describe whether this title rather was like a movie or TV show. Now I can say, is the distribution a TV show, or was it a movie, right? And this is actually a pretty nice approach. So let's make this film, and let's make that TV, or you know what we could do, I think series, let's just do TV and film. Oops. Okay, so that's one category. Now the next one would be not rating. Okay, so this would now be distribution dot no, it's a movie. No, it's a film. Okay. And then there was one, we want like genre, right? Like var genre equals an object, and then like let's say we want like sci-fi, comedy, and romance as an example. We need to be careful here because if we ever change our API later, we'll have to sort of update everything, which is sort of a pain. So like let's say like we'll map this like this. Now if we need some inspiration, we can always go to an actual like API and just see what the extent of the available categories are. So we're going to do like IMDb, advanced search. Okay, so we only care about movies and TV shows. We don't care about this stuff. But this, I feel like there's too many though. Let's just check how Netflix does this. I might have to log in to do this. Yeah, I probably do. Let's see if this works. I don't know what the password is. Okay, so let's do like Netflix genres. Let's just try that. Yeah. Why is this so complicated? What are Netflix's genres? If not, we'll just wing it. Google Play, okay, that's fine. That's a good idea. I've never used this before. Okay, cool. Oh my god, there's a lot. Yeah, this is like annoying because I don't want to have different genres, whether it's a movie or a TV show. Like that's just way too much complexity. So for now, we're going to stick with like 3 because this is arbitrarily complex. Anyway, there's like only 3 kinds of movies. There's like funny movies, like sci-fi movies, and like violent movies. Like I don't know. Like this is a funny movie. I'm guessing it's violent. This is a funny. Like there's not that many degrees of complexity with this. You have only 7. Can you type them for me? I'd be curious to see what they are. Let's do science fiction, sci-fi. Can't do that. Anyway. So, okay, so now let's do like the genre. Yeah, go ahead and paste them in if you don't mind. Is going to be sci-fi, right? So this is cool because this is pretty readable. And then we can say like, you know, now in our actual like programming, we can say like if the titles, if its genre is equal to genre, right, sci-fi, blah, blah, blah. This is sort of how we can think about mapping all these dimensions to sort of values. Oh, that's so funny. So Anna in Portugal has 8 genres available to her. Nick has 7, and then I have like 50. Maybe, I don't know what that means. All right, let's make sure that this basically is working, right? So we have distribution, genre, and title. And as you can guess, this can get really complex. So we might want to just limit the complexity to basically the API we're consuming. We don't want to necessarily create more complexity than exists. Okay, so let's do the scientific method, and I'm going to put in the distribution, the genre, and the title. Okay, cool. Now let's query our title. So what's our title's genre? Gives us a number, which is sort of a pain, but I can do like is equal to genre, sci-fi, and now we have some sort of meaningful logic. Okay, so cool. we have, so like, okay, I just want to see like a proof of concept, right? So we'd have action and adventure, animation, comedy, documentary, drama, family, horror, music. Huh. Well, maybe music is limited because of like licensing. I'm just guessing. And I'm just curious. Let me check how many I have. Was it Google Play? Google Play. So I don't have like a VPN, so this should be showing me either Thailand or the States. Yeah, dude, look at this. World cinema, thriller, sports, short films, mystery and suspense, Indian cinema, independent. Never heard of Indian cinema. But yeah. Yeah, I think so too. But there's too many if you ask me. So the point is that this is a pretty common thing that you might do in like another programming language, right? So you might map all of these to an integer. You can do this in Go, you can do this in other languages, right? And you might do something like that. And then now you have a way to describe the genre, not just using literal integers, but comparing them against a existing object, right? So like you could do like, and then do action adventure, then the rest should be fine. The lights. Yeah, clearly the States. Not that I've ever used it. I just pirate everything I watch. Okay, so like, we're not going to worry about actually getting this as real data because that's a detail. We want to build this in though. So like, here is the data that I do have that I just got off of IMDb. So we're not going to do these two for now. I just wanted to show you how enums work. But I do have access to these three fields. In theory, I actually have access to more, but this is fine. So let's do this in steps. Let's first make sure we can even search against this by not just the names, but in addition to the like emoji, because then that would actually represent searching against two different parameters. So that's fine. That's fine to start that sort of simple. So I don't know how to do this, so I have to figure this out. If you have ideas, you can let me know. So okay, let's get rid of those search bars. This is cool though, because everything is using a V model. It's going to model the query universally, which is sort of clever. Okay, so we have one search, and then okay, so like let's say if I type in, and let's get rid of this for now. It's sort of distracting me. We're just gonna omit the emoji, and oh, by the way, I figured out if you don't want to have two of these things next to each other, you can just put it like this using concatenation, right? Concatenation. So okay, so I just care about the value. And the reason that this is sort of funny looking is because it's completely empty. I'm just going to guard that. So I'm going to say if the value is empty, this is totally a hack. You don't really want to do this, but you can say in the event that it's empty, insert a empty space. And this is the syntax for like a literal empty space in HTML. And then alternatively, just give me the results value. Okay, so that's going to guard us. And so this is basically how we can start. Yeah. Now we need to be aware, this is sort of dumb actually, because we're about to search against the emoji, so like we just got rid of the emoji. Let's just keep that. I don't know that made sense. Result.emoji plus space, space. Okay, I just don't want to see our little friend right now, so I'll put a space here. Okay, we have this problem, but maybe, I don't think, I'll just put this here, right? So instead of putting it up there, I'm just going to put it here as a temporary fix. Okay, so, oh no, because it's actually, okay, let's do this. Space is not going to work, right? No. So let's just guard the value. So we could say if the value is empty, which is what that means, if it's empty, give me the literal it's non-breaking space. So non-breaking space, you can turn it into NBSP, which is clearly what NBSP stands for. How does it feel to have me like looking up acronyms? Jesus. And then we do result value. Okay, so you wouldn't really do this, but it will make debugging this easier. By the way, see how it's showing us this stuff that we don't really want to see? You might use something called nuxt.js to basically pre-compile this website, so it's not just doing it in the browser. Funny fact, nuxt is what happens if you combine next and Vue together, which is why it's called nuxt. Okay, so our website's fine. Okay, we want to get like, uh-oh, I did the guard backwards, didn't I? Hang on, something's broken. Yeah, okay, for whatever reason I needed parentheses because it was probably evaluating the whole expression and then just giving us a space when it shouldn't have. So I had to use, I think this is called coercion. I had to sort of force something to happen first. Yeah, now I will do the acronyms for you. Acronyms? Acronyms. I will do acronyms for you now. Okay, so all of our business logic is inside of our computed property, which is a fancy way of saying our function. Our function is called search, and we can either use it like this or like this. But you do get like IE11 or something, I don't know, IE9 if you use the syntax, so we'll use that syntax. I changed happy and sad to info and warning because that felt a little bit more semantically appropriate. Okay, so how do we search, for example, against the emoji or the name? We don't need to sanitize the emoji, so we don't need to lowercase. We need to add an or somewhere, right? So basically, right here is where we do a comparison to check if like any of our data matches the query. So I think this is where we would want to say, if it doesn't match the query, then check the emoji. And if you think about it, the emoji is actually less work than checking the whole query. So let's check the emoji first. So we do value includes here or there, and I can say the data right now is called this is called results, right? So stream. Oh, I'm just okay. I'm going to change streamer for result. This is just like legacy code. Okay, so we're basically iterating for each result in our results, right? And then we're doing some stuff, right? So we're going to sanitize. We're going to sanitize. While we're iterating, we're just doing this comparison. If it passes, then we push it to the results, and then we're good. We're pushing it to the matches. You guys are so funny. Okay, so we need to say, does the value, oops, results, we want to check if the we want to check if the result emoji, includes the query. I think that's all we need to add. The reason that this looks different than this is because this is sanitized. So we're not calling result value, we're calling result value lowercase. Yeah, let's try this and then I'll see if I can refactor it. So right there's Justine, and then let's search for pineapple. Yeah, okay, cool. So that was it, right? So now we sort of understand how we can combine multiple dimensions in a single search. So like let's just refactor real quick. I want to see if I can get rid of this line and then here say result.value. But I'm nervous that by doing this, I'll be permanently changing this data to be lowercase, which is I think why I did it in a separate line. So if I do search for just, yeah, so something's, right? So I'm getting some weird results now, right? Like, why did that break everything? Because this is scoped, so it doesn't exist outside of the for loop. Maybe it's not passing the search anymore because it's not sanitized, which means I have to do to lowercase somewhere here. Probably there. So I'm lowercasing the query here, and I don't have to do that here because emojis can't be upper or lowercase, at least not yet. Okay, just still broken. So let's do some scientific method. Let's just do this on its own line. Okay, so wait, let's go back to the last time it was working, which was here. Okay, and then let's do this. Let's change this to result.value, and then let's just do this and not save it anywhere. What I want to find out is, does this permanently change Justine's name from uppercase to lowercase? Wait a minute. What is... Oh, this is the whole... Yeah. Okay, so clearly that var value is like necessary. Oh, I need to do this. I need to put the lowercase... The query is already lowercase. I need to put the two lowercase on the left-hand side. So, okay, so ignore this line. And then here, for result, we're going to say result value to lowercase, right? Okay, this is a little insane. It's not the best code I've ever written. But the point is that we're checking that either one of these are true, and the query has already been lowercase. So we don't really care about sanitizing that. We just want to sanitize the value without updating the actual data. Okay, so that's working. Does that additionally mean that we can take out this line at the top, right? Because we know that doing to lowercase doesn't permanently change anything. It just returns a copy. So it's not a reference, it's a copy. So we can do the same thing, right? So we can just say, we don't care if query is lowercase here, but we care if it's lowercase here. So that would be enough to do this, delete this line of code, and then try that. And I appear to have broken something. Wait. Oh, because we have to do this query. We created the identifier query, but if we didn't do that, we still need to refer to this query. Schiffman has this problem so often of needing to refer to this. He has a song called "This Dot," right? This dot, where he starts singing about this dot. Okay, so we have this dot query, Okay, this should be fine. I will bet the farm on this one. It's a little long now. We could do that, but it looks, that's okay. Let's try that. Okay, oh my god, I lost the farm. I feel like I'm missing another this. So for each result in this results, check if the result emoji, okay, wait a minute, this is the problem. Yeah, okay. So we took out 2 lines of code. This is a little bit harder to read, but at least we understand that this is not permanently changing anything anyway, which means the decision to go backward or forward is easy. We don't have to think about it. Okay, so now we can search against 2 fields, right? We want to be able to search against an arbitrary amount of fields. So we need to think about how to do this without, like, shooting ourselves in the foot. So what we might want to do is make a special computed property for every type of search we can perform. This is one idea. So maybe we want to say, like, instead of just having a search function, maybe we should call this a filter function. And then maybe we should have a filter function for the name, the year, right, the cost, whatever. And we're basically taking a list and we're filtering it, and we have all these different filters that we're reducing the entire list down to the desired result. Okay, I think this means that we can start to worry about the data and then come back to the logic. Okay, then let's do this. We're going to start really simply, right? We've gone from 1 dimension of data to 2 dimensions of data. Now we're getting into 3, that being the rating, the title, and the year. So I've got this enormous JSON thingy. It's not JSON, but it's here. So you want me to copy and paste this in the chat? Okay, and then I need to change a few things because still we don't want the rating to be a string and we don't want the year to be a part of the title. So let's do this. Let's say, I'm going to use some regular expression here. I'm going to say, give me the beginning of every line using this guy. Then I'm going to change emoji to rating. I want to change the value to title. Then I want to arbitrarily make a year. That wouldn't be a string, it would just be a literal. Okay, then I want to go back, because all years will be 4 characters. I should be able to just grab this, delete these, without like breaking anything, right? Looks fine. And then I can paste the literals there, which should be magic, right? That's like amazing. And then I almost forgot a comma that would have killed us later. Now this is a bit clustered, so we can explode it by putting everything on its own line. So let's go back to the beginning of every line. Oh yeah, have you met Jason? Jason's a nice guy. I just saw him the other day. Me and Jason went to the coffee shop. How are you supposed to say it? Jason? Or Jason? I like that. Jason. Je suis Jason. Okay, so this isn't actually JSON, is it? I don't think this is JSON. This is still an object. I believe that they're different. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, we're just about ready to check the scientific method. That was really easy, wasn't it? I want to be a little bit audacious here. I actually want to change the order. So let's go back to putting it on one line. And let's put, okay, so the year should, like time should always be first because everything is governed by time. At least that's how I think about it. So that can go here. The rating doesn't exist until the movie's been released, so that can happen after the title. This is sort of just how I think about data types. Okay. And then in practice, this is going to be an array of objects, right? So oh my God, don't do that. You need to be careful if you're using this sort of like text processing. You have to use rules that are true independent of what the data is. So if I go forward, there's like the title of the movie has an arbitrary length, so this doesn't work. But because if I go to the back of it, I can always bet on basically the rating having two numbers, and then rating is just a word. Okay, and wait. Oh. Are you talking about a real JSON? Or like you learned about it in like comp sci or something? Wait a minute. So I've got a big, oh my God, I've got a problem. I've got a problem. So I did something that doesn't fly. Oh man, this is bad. Okay, let's go back to here. And okay, that's fine. So year, title, rating, that's fine. Explode that, that's good. Explode this, that's good. Then we go to, oh, I see it. What the hell? Where's that coming from? How many? Oh, okay, this has been broken for a while. Holy cow. There we go, so, yeah, I broke that a while ago. Oh, you thought JSON was a person, or? That's so funny. Oh, you heard okay, I got it. All right, so I think we're fine, right? Okay, so I want to put the rating last, like this. And I don't want it to be a string, and I want the year to be before that. Okay, oh my God, let's see if we can do this. Okay. Okay, we fixed diminuendo, or I'm not sure what it's called, but it got good ratings. Oh, that was anxiety-provoking. Okay, let's do var results equals, so we're gonna like fake this. This is our fake API. Okay, cool. So that looks fine. Oh, there's nobody here, so don't feel shy. We're gonna do the scientific method. Let's open up Chrome and check that this checks out. I hope Nick liked that. Okay, so we have all this data, and we hit enter, and it doesn't break, and that's a big deal. Yep. Yeah, dude, like if you don't have any formatting, everything can look terrible no matter how simple it's supposed to be. Let me show you something really quickly, though, because I think it's pretty cool. Because formatting, like code formatting, can lead to so much like so many like problems and interpersonal problems, like between people. Go actually decided to prevent you from like coming up with your own formatting. So if I like have a file, if I open a file, like a Go file. Let's say like I don't really like how this looks, and like I want to use my own formatting. So it's like I want an extra, I want like all these spaces, and I want all these new lines, and I like if I wanted to like really just be insane, right? Because that's sometimes how like Stack Overflow looks. The thing is, Go comes with a thing that will format this for you. So I can use something called Go imports, which will fix everything for me instantly. So that's really, really nice, right? Okay, so let's go back to reviews. Nope, our data, yeah. This checks out. And let's put this in a file, a separate file. So we do like data.js, put this in there. And then now we can just call it, right? So if we go to here, reviews, we're just going to load it, but we're not going to interact with it yet. So like, let's say I put my data right here, script source equals, and then this would be data.js/script. Oh, cool, I didn't know that. Okay, so like this shouldn't break anything, but at the same time we should have access to that data, which we don't. So what's the problem? This is not data.js. Maybe we should import this using an import directive. Oh, it's not called data, it's called results. There we go. So we have 250 results. And here it is. So it's not a part of our application yet. But the point is we can interact with it now. So let's make a really naive search that can just search arbitrarily against everything. So like, is that a bad idea? Might be a bad idea. We could add 3 buttons for now. I think that'd be fine. So let's go to here and put 3 buttons. How do we do button? Okay, so button is, okay. So sometimes you want to check whether the schema closes as well. And so in this case, it looks like it does. Yeah, because that's where we put the text. Okay, so test. Okay, let's try this. Okay, so this is starting to look like Craigslist. Okay, so we have 3 buttons. Okay, and they don't do anything, but they will. And the way that we can do that is we're going to hook in a click event. So we're basically going to bind a method to clicking these. So we'll do a test in a second. But I want to just make sure this looks good. Okay, so we have, what do we have so far in our data? Results at the 0th. We have year, title, and rating. Okay, year, title. Okay, we got this here. Okay, actually let's do like this. So the thing is, in HTML, white space is ignored. So you can do, like we're talking about like formatting in the comments, right? You can do this, right? You can put spaces here, which really shouldn't influence anything, but it is a little bit easier on the eyes to have all these line up to each other, rather than having this, which is not a big deal, but if you had a lot of these, it would get really annoying. Okay, so now we have that, and I want to make, what happens if I do this? Class is field. That sort of looks bad. Let's do this. Let's put field over here. No. What does field do? So we just, okay, so we can do like this. Class field style width is 33.33%. Okay, we need to do like slightly less than that. I'll just do, oh, because the margin. Okay, right, so now we have 3 buttons. Let's do like this. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so we have our search, we have these 3 buttons that do nothing, and then we have our potential results. So this still works. But when we click this, let's like make it do something. So let's make a function called beep, and then we can go down to our computed, and we'll make a function like this, and then I can say, if somebody were to press this, then I want to do console log Nick, and then that means let's have 3 buttons, right? Let's have let's do like beep 1, beep 2, and beep 3. So we do like this, and then let's do like this. I love Nick. I love Anna. I love no one. Okay, so these are functions, and let's make these alerts. Okay, so depending on whether we click one of the buttons up defined over here, we want to trigger one of the possible functions, right? So let's check what happens. Okay, so apparently I love Nick. Wait a minute, whoa. They're all getting executed whether I click them or not, which is totally not good. Oh, you know why? These are computed, and that could create a problem for us. Let's do methods. Let's do like this. Okay. So now we have 3 methods, and we can... Okay, so now nothing happens when I load, but if I click, there we go. Okay, cool. So now I have something to work with. So, So, okay, so check this out. We're going to search against 3 different types of data, right? We're going to search against the year, we're going to search against the title, and we're going to search against the rating, which means that our query is now multidimensional. So this shouldn't be a string. This should be an object with 3 different data types. So we have like our queries title, our queries, what's the first one? Like time, no, it's a year. It should be time. Time's better, but we'll do year. So the query year, the query title, and the query rating, right? So then we just do like this. And then we just bind these to empty values, and I'll put the 0 value to make this more semantic. Okay, cool. So now our query has these multiple states, and we probably want to show a state whether we're clicked on a button or not. Now the thing is, in the meantime, this whole thing is going to break. So if we don't want that to happen, let's do this. I don't want this to get any longer, so we're going to use sanitation like we did before. I'm going to make var query is equal to, so we're just going back to what it was before. We're going to say this query to lowercase, right? Like this. Lowercase ya. And then here, we're going to do var, what was this? For, here, let's do one thing at a time. So we have var query, which means we don't need to refer to this query anymore, and we don't need to lowercase it. And we have this query, which again, that can be query. And okay, so now we do var value equals, we basically say results value to lowercase, right? Okay, so then we can say if the result emoji includes query, okay, that's fine. And if we say if the results, no, if we just say the value includes query. Okay, now in order for this to work, we need to change which query is being updated by default. So we're going to make this title. So now we're going to model title, right? So we go to view model, which is, here it is. So this is view, so we're editing query's title, which means down here we need to reflect that change too. So this would be title, and then anytime we say query, oh, this here too, title, query title to lowercase. I think this will work because we don't say this query anymore. Okay, this is sort of risky. Okay, I did not expect that to work. So all that's happened is we've made our query itself multi-dimensional, right? We can search against years, title, and rating. It's just not doing anything yet. So how should we do this, right? So if we click, sorry, let me go to here. If I click this, I want to set this to query year. If I click this, I want to set this to query title, and if I click this, I want to set this to query rating, which is a start. So I have these 3 click events, and if I click it, then I think I need to save this. And let me think about this. I wonder if these 3 should be functions, and then this should be like a computed property. So this is an action to do something, this is an action to do something. Yeah, so these should be methods, and then these methods need to update the state, and then this needs to be, like I guess like a function that returns this. I don't know if that'll work. So if I click a button, I want to change the view model. I've never seen this before. Okay, so basically let's do, we have the first one is year, title, and then rating, right? And then let's do toggle as the name of the function. Now technically we can use white spaces. Okay, so then we just change this. Toggle year. Oops. Yes, toggle year, toggle title. And then this would be toggle, it's not year, it's not title, it's the rating. Is that what we called it? Yeah, we called it rating. Yeah, we called it rating. Okay, so now everything should be working. Yeah, so that's working. Are you guys following, or is this sort of confusing? And then can I do this? Oh, I can do that. Cool. So toggle year, toggle title, toggle rating. Then I want to make this like, I don't know, just like get. Okay, so get active. And I want to see if I can bind the view model to a function that returns the state. So this is probably computed. And what do we call it? Get active. And then this is function. Oh, great. Oh, that's great. Okay, so we have getActive, which is a function, and we want to return. Okay, that's easy. I have no idea if that will work, because I'm worried that if we use a view model, it doesn't like want. I feel like a view model wants data and not anything special. So I'm sort of nervous that this won't work. And how will we even know if it does work? Okay, it doesn't, but hang on. So why? So get active. Oh, if it's computed, it's not a function. So that doesn't make sense. Right? So get active needs to be treated like a variable, which wasn't really the issue. So we have a function, return. Oh, this should be this query title, right? Because this dot. Oh, that was it. Okay, cool. So how do we know if this works? I don't think we do. Because like by default, nothing will be triggered. GetActive will be called. GetActive will return the query's title. So if I click, okay, so basically we need to do something here. Ooh. If I hit toggle year, oh man, this is crazy. I don't know if I can do this. Maybe I can have a function that changes getActive. It seems weird though. I kind of want like a pointer that I can refer to and then just change the value independently of the pointer address. That's like what I want to do. JavaScript doesn't have pointers though. So I kind of want to have like a container that I can refer to. Ooh! How do I do references? JavaScript variable reference. Always passes by value, and what we want to do is pass by a reference. There isn't a pass by reference. Pass an object, you can say pass by a value to a reference to an object. So you get a copy of the object, which in theory has the same, I think. So he's saying, give me A and B, swap X with Y. Yeah, I feel like you can use objects. Primitive variables are always, okay, so we can't use a primitive, which is like the normal stuff, but we can use an array or an object to point to a reference. Okay, I think this is good. Let me know if you need help with the reference thing. It's sort of weird. Okay, so we don't want a copy of the data, we want to change the actual data, which would mean that we want to, like if I, okay, so first I'm not getting anything, right? Why not? Because maybe I broke the relationship with the view model when I used a computed property. I suspect I might have. Okay, so you can pass by a value, or you can pass by a reference. So a value is what you would expect. Value is the normal default behavior, right? So it's like if I have like var a equals 1, b equals a, and then I say a equals 2. What do you think? B evaluates? So like console log. I did console log b. What do you think the value is, right? Because should b equal 1 or should b equal 2? What do you think? The short answer, for what it's worth, I'm not like going to give you the actual answer, but the short answer is if you're expecting b to equal 1, that's called pass by a value. If you're expecting b to equal 2, that's called pass by a reference, which means you're referencing the actual variable in memory and you're not copying the value of the memory. Right, so Nick is right? The answer is 1 because these are primitive data types, right? 1, string, these are they're called primitives, right? So primitives are always copied because copying is efficient. But if you have an object or an array, objects or an array can occupy a lot of memory, and it's been designed that whenever you're working, like in some programming languages, if you're working with a big data type, sometimes you want to refer to it as a reference because it's more efficient, and maybe you should have designed the code like that anyway. So this doesn't really make sense for a simple example, but if I have this like giant data type and I don't want to copy it, I want to mutate it, then I'm dealing with a reference. I'm not dealing with a value. So let's say if let's figure out if we can do this. We want to make an example where we can prove, yeah. So we broke getActive. Oh, it doesn't have a setter. Oh, we can fix that. Okay, we'll fix that in a second. So we have like var obj, and we want to make this a reference. So I'll have like a value of A inside of it, and I'll put hello world. Then I'll make var obj, no, sorry, duplicate, so dup for duplicate, or let's do cpy for copy. So I'm going to copy my object, and then I'm going to change object's A value into hello darkness, right? And by doing that, we're going to find out whether or not copy's A value refers to hello world or hello darkness. What do you think the answer is? I don't know what the answer is, to be honest. What is copy's A value? Okay, I'll wait a few seconds. Yeah, exactly. So a shallow copy would be a copy by it's copying a value. A deep copy would be copying by reference. So you can think of deep as like you have like a shovel and you're going into the memory and you're actually grabbing the memory, not a copy of the memory. So like if you ever heard about like pointers are references. They're not values, for what it's worth. So a lot of people get confused about pointers because it's not intuitive if you're sort of just starting out, but it's efficient for other reasons. Okay, so I'm going to find out what this would do because I don't know. That's good, right? So we have a reference here. So hello darkness. So A is always following B. But, copy is always following object. This is the expected behavior because we're using an object and we're not using a primitive. So that's good. So first, let's try to fix the relationship that we broke when we used getActive as a computed property. So I'm typing, I'm not getting anything, and that's a problem. So let's try to figure that out. Yeah, so Nick, you were absolutely right about that. It's good instincts. So computed property getActive was assigned, but it has no setter. There's 19 warnings. Oh, it's repeating it 19 times. Okay. Okay, so let's just put this as a method. And then let's put parentheses around it because it's a method now. Okay. So yeah, we're breaking all sorts of stuff. Property or method is not defined in the instance, isn't it? GetActive is a method. Let's try without the parentheses. No. So Vue. Oh no, they're right. We're in the wrong scope. Okay, so we want to have another level of indentation. Okay, cool. For once, JavaScript was right. Okay, cool. So now we have our methods. We have these toggle things that we're going to come back to later. So I'll sort of minimize them. And then in the meantime, we can just focus on fixing the relationship. Right? So we can do like, okay, whoops, let's do like that. Okay, so we have these, which we can largely ignore. Okay, and then we have getActive down here, and we hope that, like, I'm hoping that this is, I don't think I did this right. I basically want it to return a reference, which I'm pretty sure it won't. I'm pretty sure this is a copy because this is a primitive, which means I need to, like, well, let's just see what happens. Okay, so there's no warning, but, right, so nothing's happening. That's evidence that we are copying, like I bet you this query is always empty because we're copying it, we're not referencing it. And to prove that, it would be nice if we can get like a console log message. So we could do like console log, this query. And the idea is that this should always be empty because we used a copy, not a reference. Okay, let's try this. Oh, wait a minute. Well, invalid a left hand in assignment. This is fine. This might not be fine. So Maybe it was working. Every time we type invalid left-hand side in assignment. Okay, okay. Okay, so this is probably not an issue. And then we have getActive over here. GetActive points to here, which is a function. And then, like, let's try this. Let's try this query, and then referring to that. No. Did that work? Holy cow, that worked. Oh, this is so cool. So think about this, right? We wanted a reference, right? So we took this whole thing, which is a reference, and now it's working. This is a little insane, but we have something to go off of. And like, just to double check. No, sure. Do you want me to stop the stream and we take a break, or do you want to just take a break individually? I don't mind either way. It's up to you. It doesn't work. Justin. Okay. When did we start? We started like... Oh shit, it's been an hour already? No, it's been like an hour and a half already. Holy cow, dude, I had no idea. I thought it was like 30 minutes. No way. It's 9:45? Yeah, let's take a break, dude. That's been an hour and a half. I'll set the timer on YouTube so it sort of... We'll set the alert. It'll be like 20 minutes like last time. Yeah, let's take a break. For sure. Okay. We'll reconnect. I'll tweet about it, and then we'll do this again. All right. Thank you, Nick. Did not realize that. All right. I'll see you soon.